Hey guys, welcome back to BUIS on Airsoft, and today we're going to be talking about backup iron sights and do you need them? Now, on most Airsoft loadouts, you'll see dudes and they'll have backup iron sights because it's for looks and it looks cool and just in case my optic goes down. We'll be realistic here. Your optic is likely never going to go down in the span of time that you'll actually be using it during an airsoft game. Real soldiers are out for hours and days at a time when they're in the field doing their stuff. So yes, they have to worry about battery life, but we're airsofters, so we're only going to be on the field for less than 10 minutes. And plus, you could probably just swap out a battery next round. But yes, I think it's still valid to have that just in case. But let's assume that we're not talking about the emergency situation and how backup irons can be less backup and more proactive. In my recent adventures in CQB, I realized that the co-witness of a backup iron sight is actually much more valuable than an emergency procedure. That's because of something called height over bore. So basically, you have your muzzle and then you have your sighting system, whether it be iron sights, an EOTech, or an aim point, red dot, whatever. There's a height over the bore. There's a vertical distance between your muzzle and the actual optic itself. And that means that your optic, after a certain distance or before a certain distance, will not actually line up with the BB or bullet or whatever. So that's why you zero your optic for a certain distance. So usually I zero this for 25 to 30 meters. So 25 to 30 meters is going to hit that spot. But anything between that or above that, it's not going to hit. It's either going to be too low or it's going to be too high. And in most cases, the red dot will be higher than the actual BB itself once you start getting lower than your actual zero. So what you can do to alleviate that is use your backup iron sights. And these things are I usually zero them for about maybe around the same 20 meters or so. But they are much closer to the bore than your optic because this, for example, the EOTech EXPS is a lower third co-witness. So the dot is actually above the iron sight, even though it looks so tall. It's even higher than that in your actual sight picture. And you actually have to bring your head down 33% to actually line it up. And you have a higher chance of actually hitting with the iron sights by actually going down. But anyway, practical uses in CQB where this actually applies. Now, why would you actually use your backup iron sights? Well, there would be a situation. So in my experience in playing CQB, and I played a lot of CQB, small little cracks, precision shots, and lighting situations. So what I noticed is that if I wanted to shoot through a crack and take a preemptive shot on somebody who's like chilling somewhere over there, I found that if I tried to go through my sighting optic system, that my muzzle would actually just not even clear that hole, right? Without actually sticking the muzzle into the hole. Maybe it's a crack all the way down there and I can't really hit it. I found that using my iron sights instead were actually more precise because they hold a different zero and they're lower than this. They have a lower height over bore. So what you can do is in a situation like this, let's say there's a piece of cover here and then there's like a small crack. Instead of sticking your muzzle through, and maybe sometimes it's not possible, you can actually bring your head down to the lower third here, maybe throw up your backup iron sight here, and you can just lower it down and just shoot like a normal iron. And more often than not, I'd say 33% of the time you'll hit your shot. But for a small crack such as that, it's probably better to use something that has an even lower height over bore, which would be great, like a pistol. If you wanted to take that preemptive shot, only one shot only, the height over bore is literally like a few centimeters. So use your iron sights on there, take that shot through that crack, get it every time. Of course, you can just stick your muzzle through it, but sometimes you can't do that. Either it's not allowed at the field to do that, or you're just not in a good position to actually do that. Another technique you can do, I would just probably turn the rifle around this way and then just kind of guide it through the hole that way. Now, the second situation where I find that actually having these flipped up is a good idea is when you use your flashlight. So when you have your optic, it's not going to be automatic and it's not going to adjust to every lighting situation. So you have to kind of practice that muscle memory to kind of turn the thing brighter or lower depending on your lighting situation, which is why I'm really against auto brightness optics. But sometimes you just don't have time. You're in the middle of a scrap. So in situations where your lighting situation changes dramatically via flashlight, your dot may or may not, depending on the lumens of your flashlight, it may not get flushed out by that light. So you'll have zero reference point and you'll just end up point shooting. Well, you're going to point shoot anyway, but you want to have that reference point to know exactly where your dot kind of was. So having that iron sight, even though it's flushed out by your light, you'll still be able to see the iron sight's shadow. So that gives you a good reference of where you can shoot. And of course, you're shooting in CQB, so it doesn't have to be super precise accurate if you're going to be using your flashlight at that close of a distance. You just want to be able to have some sort of reference point. So having that lower third cold witness as a reference point for, different lighting situations is really, really nice as well. Now, the third situation where I find where you can actually use backup iron sights as a preemptive iron sight is when you're offhand shooting. So sometimes when you want to offhand shoot, you're more often than not doing it at an unfavorable angle. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to find your dot in a short amount of time. If you have a lot of time and you're kind of just like preemptively clearing, then yes, you can find it. But if you need to do a quick peek really fast and kind of react before that guy gets away or something like that, or you want to win that corner on him, to find your dot faster, you're going to look for your iron sight there, and you're like, okay, well, I know my optic system is a lower third cold witness to this iron sight. So if I find the iron sight, I'm going to find the dot really quick. So if I find the dot really quick, I can find that reference really quick like that. So that is why I think backup iron sights are better as a preemptive iron sight in CQB. In outdoor fields, you may not need it that much, but definitely in different lighting situations where it might be too bright, throw up that iron sight, just keep it up. Maybe even the back sight if you want to take a really, really precise shot. Let's say it's super, super sunny and this thing's in my face. Can't really see my dot. You can even just go through it, throw up your back sight, close one eye, and get that really, really precise shot, and then let your BB get taken by the wind. It didn't really matter. Honestly, it's a good tool to have. I would recommend getting something that isn't a fixed iron post, because for those of you who like a clean sight picture, you can't get away from that. And if you have a good optic, like a really good optic that's actually has zero parallax, you can go ahead and throw both of them up, because you don't have to have the thing centered in. Like the EOTech here, I can just shoot it from the top of the window. I don't have to have the dot in the middle, and it'll still be 100% accurate. And the cool thing about it is, in CQB, in under 25 meters, your guns are going to be pretty goddamn accurate every fucking time. So don't worry about the wind taking your BBs, because this is the CQB kind of situation. And I really only use the flip up iron sights in CQB, or when I'm going into a CQB situation outdoors. But anyway, guys, that was my tip for you today on Thespian Thursdays. Use your backup iron sights as preemptive iron sights, especially in CQB, and you're going to see a lot better results. And of course, train, guys. Doesn't matter how cool your gear is. Make sure you train, watch Tactical Tuesdays, train with your iron sights, and of course, have fun.